The Lantern Man. It was just past midnight when Eliza Warren's phone rang. Her brother, Mark, rarely called at this hour. Groggily, she answered. "Eliza. I need help. I think something followed me back from the cabin." Her heart froze. It had been 10 years since they last visited the old family cabin in Briar Hollow, a place they'd both sworn never to return to after what happened to their father. The man who once told tales of a ghost in the woods, the Lantern Man. "Mark, you didn't go back there, did you?" "I had to. I needed to sell it. But now, weird things are happening. I hear footsteps outside my door at night. There's a smell, like burnt wood and wet earth. I keep seeing a lantern light in the woods behind the house." Eliza didn't sleep that night. By morning, she was already halfway to Mark's house. Mark lived in a small town on the edge of the valley, surrounded by thick woods. When Eliza arrived, the sky was overcast, and mist clung low to the ground like a creeping fog. His house was quiet. Too quiet. She knocked. No answer. The door creaked open. It was unlocked. "Mark," she called, stepping into the foyer. The house smelled damp. On the living room floor were scattered sheets of paper, drawings of a figure with a lantern. Each one darker than the last, as if he'd tried to scrub it out with charcoal. Suddenly, footsteps. Upstairs. "Eliza?" Mark's voice echoed faintly. She rushed up the stairs. The door to his bedroom was half open. She pushed it, and found it empty. Then she saw the message scrawled on the wall in black ink. "He walks behind the light." They first heard of the Lantern Man when they were children. Their father, a war veteran turned recluse, had bought the cabin to escape the noise of the world. But every night he'd sit on the porch, lantern in hand, and whisper about a ghost in the trees. "He only comes when you look for him," he said. "But once you see his light, you'll never sleep again." One night, their father wandered into the woods and never came back. All they found was his lantern, still burning. Now, Eliza felt that same heat, the same hum of something wrong. That night, she stayed at Mark's house. The wind howled. She couldn't sleep. At 3:17 a.m., she saw it. A light. Moving through the trees outside. A soft, golden lantern glow. Then a knock at the door. Once. Twice. 3 times. When she opened it, no one was there, but muddy footprints led away from the porch, and disappeared into thin air. Eliza knew she had to go back to the cabin. She drove up through the winding roads, reaching the old place just before dusk. The cabin looked untouched, like it had been waiting. The air felt thick. Every shadow stretched too far. Inside, the walls were covered in strange symbols, circles within circles, and a twisted face carved into the wood near the fireplace. She found Mark's backpack on the table. She also found his phone, playing a recording on loop. "Don't follow the light. Don't look at him. Eliza, he's not just a ghost. He's something older." That's when the lantern lit outside the window. This time, she saw the figure holding it. Tall. Dressed in blackened robes. His face was a burned blur, as if melted wax and ash had become flesh. The Lantern Man. Desperate, Eliza searched through their father's old journal, which was still hidden beneath a loose floorboard. The final pages were rambling and broken, but one entry stood out. "The Lantern Man is not a ghost. He is a collector of souls. He shows you your worst fear. If you look into the light, it becomes real. That is how he feeds." There was a ritual described. It required fire, salt, and the original lantern from the porch. She gathered what she needed and waited until nightfall. As the forest grew dark, the light appeared. The Lantern Man stepped closer, his lantern swaying. And in the golden glow, she saw it. Mark. Standing behind him. Eyes vacant. Lips sewn shut. Eliza held the salt in one hand, the lantern in the other. You can't have him, she said, voice shaking. The lantern man said nothing. He raised his hand, and suddenly she was no longer in the cabin. She stood in the woods. But they were twisted, wrong. Trees groaned like living things. Shadows moved without light. In the distance, a chorus of whispers. Eliza. Eliza, let the flame show you. Then, Mark screamed. Eliza turned, saw her brother tangled in vines of smoke, being pulled deeper into the trees. She ran toward him and flung the lantern. Fire erupted, an explosion of white-hot light. The lantern man howled. Then, silence. She woke up on the cabin floor. Alone. Outside, the lantern lay broken, its glass shattered. Mark was gone. But a note lay in the ashes. He took me, because I looked. He took Dad, too. Burn the cabin. End this. Don't let him find another. Mark. Eliza set the whole place ablaze. She never looked back. Years passed. Eliza moved to the city. Built a new life. Then, one rainy night, her doorbell rang. She opened it, and saw a box on her doorstep. Inside was an old lantern. Burnt, blackened, but faintly glowing. And beneath it, a photo. It was of her. Standing in the woods. Holding the lantern. Eliza stared at the photo, her face frozen in a distant expression, her hands tightly gripping the lantern, her eyes glowing faintly. I never stood there, she whispered. That's not me. But the photo was aged. Weather-worn. As if it had been taken years ago. Suddenly, she remembered something Mark once said, back when they were kids and trying to scare each other in the dark. The lantern man doesn't steal your body. He steals your time. He traps you in a memory, a version of you that never existed. Her skin went cold. What if she never truly escaped the woods? What if the Eliza who left the cabin was just a reflection? That night, she dreamed. She was back in the forest. Lantern in hand. The light flickering wildly, illuminating dozens of faces, people lost to the lantern man over the years. Their mouths moved in silence, their eyes pleading. At the center stood Mark. This time, his lips were unsealed. You didn't save me, he said softly. You traded places. She looked down. The lantern was no longer in her hand, it was in her. Her chest glowed, her veins lit with fire. And the trees began to whisper her name. 1 year later. In a small, misty town on the edge of the valley, a hiker goes missing. Police find his abandoned backpack near the ruins of the old Warren cabin. The only clue left behind? A drawing of a woman holding a lantern. The face is half burnt. The smile is wrong. The eyes seem to follow you. The locals whisper again. Don't go into the woods after dark. If you see the lantern, close your eyes. Because now, she's the one walking behind the light. The end. Or is it just the beginning? Subscribe, pass a pay, and take care.